If music is the vehicle for nostalgia,
then we want to be the cops chasing after it.
I'm Mel.
And I'm El.
And this is...
Do you remember that song? It's a podcast where we reminisce about some of our best memories,
tied to some of our favorite songs.
So, sit back as we ask the question, do you remember that song? Hey, welcome back there, friends.
Friends and neighbors and friends.
Neighborly friends.
Knobbly neighbors.
Knobbly neighbors.
Yeah. They're old. They got knobbly knees.
Knobbly knees. Knobby neighbors?
Nibbly neighbors too.
Oh my god.
Okay. Anyways, neighbors. Yeah, welcome back. We're once again jumping right into this because we changed our shirts.
Hey, that's a trade secret, man. This is episode 3 of Do You Remember That Song? Thanks for joining us.
And we do laundry.
We got a couple of songs in the canon to talk about today.
And I wanted to ask you, do you remember that song?
Yeah. Hey, Mount, do you remember that song?
But as always, we have these up on our Spotify playlist. You guys can go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, follow along with us.
We'll make sure we link that somewhere down below somewhere. Anyways, but yeah.
So ask me the question.
Do you remember that song?
What song?
I don't remember either. No, the song Helena by My Chemical Romance.
Hey, we're talking about My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Helena. All right, Mal, tell me a little bit about My Chemical Romance.
Okay, so
and Helena.
Okay, so so real quick, we went through Wikipedia because
that's the most trustworthy source of information.
Yeah, it's for the people, by the people. Make sure you donate.
Have you ever donated?
No, I want to.
Me too. I'm sorry. Okay, we haven't donated. All right,
we'll get there. One day we'll do some sponsorships and we'll get some money and we'll donate. So somebody sponsor us, please. Anyway,
okay.
Anyways, so so Helena, it was recorded in 2004. Released in 2005, which was a great year.
Great record.
Because that was year. Also what was it? The other one.
Last week's song "Feel Good Inc." came out in 2005.
Yeah. All the things I've done.
Was that 2005 too? I thought that was 2004.
It was a good time
in the same era, but yeah. So all right. So we're talking about specifically about Helena, right?
Yeah, but Helena. So it came out on their 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge album, which is a classic. I want to say, I mean they had a few albums come out before that, and those were classic, but. I want to say 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge really brought them into the main.
I think that was their first critically acclaimed hit record.
Yeah.
3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, yeah.
And
that's where they broke into the mainstream for sure.
Yeah, and I think it kind of set a precedent for, I guess, what would become the emo what would that emo vibe, the emo.
Yeah. They definitely set the tone for
wave.
Yeah, for that
era.
Yeah.
Because, everything turned dark. Everyone wore eyeliner. I remember I wore eyeliner.
I do remember you wearing eyeliner.
Yeah.
I grew my hair out long. I grew my hair out long, yeah.
I always had it long. I just parted it on the side.
Yeah. So I grew it. I got bangs. I straightened my hair.
You actually straightened it?
I did straighten my hair.
Nice.
Couple times, yeah. But yeah, that was a crazy time.
I mean, that must have been like with growing up with sisters. You could do stuff like that.
Yeah, you had
I didn't have.
You had the hair tools available. Well, your hair was naturally straight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just.
You had long hair all your life.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but I mean, I think that's what set me up for being emo, or alternative in that way, because And I think that's what it kind of spoke to, because before that, you know, if you were goth, if you're emo, you listened to bands like Slipknot or Korn or Rob Zombie, you know, White Zombie. You get into those kinds of things, and for those of us that were like, you know, I live under my parents' roof, and I have to go to church on the weekends, you know, I feel like Helena specifically kind of catered to that, because you still had that kind of like church vibe. Mm-hmm. And, you know, especially with the way, you know, the short interview that he had done, Gerard and Mikey Way, it was, they wrote, Gerard wrote it to, I guess, commemorate, to help him work through the passing of their grandmother, Helen.
Yeah, I think you said her name was Ella.
Helen
or Elena. I think her name was Elena, and they called her Helena.
Helena, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so there's just some context behind the song. It's dealing with grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for, you know, a lot of my generation, and I guess also your generation, there was a whole lot of like...
we're the same generation, man.
Yeah, we're only a few years apart.
Yeah. But for our age groups, yeah.
For that era, you know, you had Green Day coming out, and Green Day was turning political.
They had American Idiot was like their big one.
Broadway, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, kind of a thing. And so they got political, and everyone else was just kind of like, I got a lot of feelings, and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, I know growing up as a kid, like, you know, I also struggled with oh gosh, do we have to put a disclaimer here? I struggled with depression.
Okay. Yeah.
And trying to, I guess, in a way,
express that.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure I have some whatever, I've never been tested, but, you know, like being depressed, being a young kid, feeling like you don't fit in.
Right. That's exactly what My Chemical Romance kind of catered to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they definitely struck a chord with kids like that, you know?
Yeah. On the fringe.
It felt unseen. Yeah. You know?
And for me, you know, like growing up with like being native, like we've talked on our other podcast, being native in Albuquerque, growing up in a predominantly Euro-American schools, and for me, I had long hair, and so like this whole thing now, this whole movement of like pronoun identification. Like I've lived that my whole life, you know, walking around, having old women, young kids, everyone going, "Oh, you're such a pretty girl," and being like, "No, I'm a boy."
Yeah.
You know, having to, like, my first interaction with you is having to identify who I am,
right, and
what I am. You know, puts you already in a other category.
Yeah.
And so growing up that way,
just having a lot of feelings of like alienation and like
yeah. And then, you know, depression on top of that, you know, being depressed or sad about all of that mixed together, all of a sudden you come out with Helena and you're like, yes, this is what I need. I need my black tight pants, I need my eyeliner, I need to ride around in a hearse. I need to sleep in a coffin. I need to be a vampire. I need, you know, all this other stuff. And, you know, it was the armor, the tools that you surround yourself with as a kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love like the operatic nature of it.
Yeah, there's like a theatrical nature to all of their albums, actually. You know?
And eventually I ended up becoming a theater kid too. So, I mean, it just kind of played into like...
all kind of worked out.
Yeah. And it was good feeling, good
So how did you get into this song? Like, do you remember like when you first heard this song?
It was actually when I was in high school, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was around the time when I was in high school. And
did you have like a friend introduce it to you, or did you see it on hear it on the radio or something? I don't remember if this one got a lot of radio. It might have got radio.
I think it got radio time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I want to say until one of my friends
introduced them to you, or what?
So I had this friend, and she was really cool. Name's Claire, and every day we had a biology class, or we had biology in high school. And what ended up happening is she was one of those people that like took her headphones, and this was back before Bluetooth headphones, so they were wired.
Yeah.
So she'd take them really quickly, shove them in her bag, and then pull them out, and they would just be this ball of cord.
Okay.
And then one day I see her, and she's just got like the cord with like her little MP3 player like hanging 2 inches away from her head.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you gotta let me take care of that for you. She was like, yeah, sure. So I took it apart, and then the next time did the same thing. It just kind of became our routine. And then one day she was like, Mal, I need you to take this apart, but I gotta go. And so she left it with me, and I took it home, and I was like, I gotta see what she listens to. So I finally downloaded her music.
So you ripped off her music.
Yeah. And Helena was on there, and a few other really great ones. And so I ended up, that's how, I got music introduced to new music, because
there was always ways to it always seemed like it was always a friend. Somehow you were getting music from a friend, whether you were taking it from them or they like made you a mixtape or like a burn a CD or something,
Yeah. And I think that was the cool thing, is like she had such a diverse
catalog of music,
from like synth pop to like emo music to all kinds of like angry thrash metal kind of things. And so that's what I got into.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, hey, if you get a chance, check out our Spotify playlists. We got Helena, My Chemical Romance on there. Great song. Definitely gives you some feels for sure.
Gets you that 2000s, the early 2000s.
Yeah, that early angst, that teen angst you could have, or it's great though. It's a great way to express yourself.
Yeah. Hit that nostalgia button.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Quick short intermission there. We're here to ask you that question. Do you remember that song?
Which song?
That song, man. That song I was talking about. No, do you remember that song At the Beach by the Avett Brothers?
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. That's okay. That's okay, because I bet you didn't, and I bet you didn't either. The band in question is the Avett Brothers. I was telling you a little bit earlier, these guys had a pretty big impact on me when I was younger. Their genre, according to Wikipedia, is like folk rock, indie folk, bluegrass, Americana.
Yeah.
So they had a banjo. It's almost like if you were in a band and you had a banjo, then they would categorize you as folk or Americana or bluegrass,
Bluegrass.
But especially early Avett Brothers, they did have that kind of bluegrassy feel. The song in particular that I wanted to talk about was At the Beach.
At the Beach.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to this song, I urge you, just go ahead and press pause now. Check out our Spotify. It's on there. It's a beautiful song. It's fun. It's super lighthearted. It is just like kind of brings you some joy,
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this song, and I was thinking about the question of like, do you remember it? Thinking about this song really takes me back to middle school. And I had a friend. I actually got this song and a lot of my Avett Brother introduction from a friend in orchestra.
Nice.
Yeah, he played the cello. We both played cellos.
Nice.
So
it runs in the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or sits in the family.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a cello joke.
Cello joke.
If you know how to play the cello, you get. That's not actually. It's not necessarily true. The Avett Brothers have a cellist, and he stands.
Oh, man.
I know. But yeah, the Avett Brothers comprises of two brothers, Scott and Seth Avett, and then they had their friend Bob Crawford, who played the stand-up bass, the upright bass for them. It was, man, something about this. It was like something about this differing from like other music that I was listening at the time. It felt like I could learn this music. You know what I mean? It felt like I could replicate this. I could learn how to play guitar like this. I
feel like anytime there was a cello involved in the music, I was like, man, I want to play this. I want to get into this.
Well, so this was when I was learning guitar, and I was like, oh, I could learn acoustic. Like I play acoustic guitar. I could learn how to play these songs.
Yeah.
This song in particular, though, it's a lovely little song. Kind of talks about it's like a love story. Day at the beach. With like your significant other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just kind of like feel good vibes, ends with one of the last verses talks about them walking on the beach, and it's like getting dark, and there's like some kids down the way that are shooting off fireworks, and so it's like turns into this lovely end with a magical stroll with some fireworks happening down the way. You know what I mean? Like it
kind of gives you like 4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July romance,
Yeah. Summer romance.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember like my friend gave me this, and we were talking about this a little earlier, like about like when you got like a burned CD. Like there was only a few ways to get music from people. And before like you had a computer where you had access to like a thumb drive, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like if you got it, you had to get a burned CD. And so my friend burned me a mixtape of the Avett Brothers, and the music like I didn't know what these songs were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was hard to
when it's new, you're out of luck.
Yeah, if it's new music, or if you just like if you have no idea who they are, good luck, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like and because this was before Google,
Shazam and everything.
Oh yeah, you couldn't like ask Shazam to like look up what is this song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you either knew it or you had to like go off context clues, and sometimes it was easy. In this case, At the Beach was super easy because it was like Google, what's that Avett Brothers song? It's like Avett Brothers song about the beach, and then it's like oh, here's that top search. Were you looking for Avett Brothers At the Beach?
At the beach.
And you're like, that must be the song,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like started me on that path of trying to replicate music that I was hearing. And something about this song is just like, it's super fun, it's super light, and it kind of takes me back to those like middle school days, and just the feeling of like getting a new CD from someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And them being like, yeah, check this out, and it being like just the right stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like whenever I go back to like any of my old CDs, because I don't have Bluetooth in my car, I pull out, some of my old stuff. Like I think even one of my old CDs says Amber's Mix or Amber's
really?
Tech, and it was from my friend Amber, and it's that like perfect, like that's I don't know. I mean, I guess I could equate them to like love letters, like back in the day, like in our grandparents generation.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think she was in love with me, but it was more like, you get to keep that.
There's like a connection there.
Yeah. And so like somebody took the time to put this music together and then to give it to you.
Yeah.
It gives you the sense of like, oh, somebody does care about me.
Yeah, they're gifting something to you, and it's a nice feeling. You know? Yeah.
And I think, now I can go back and look at all of that, and I can relive all those memories, those moments of nostalgia with, the CD that they gave me.
Yeah.
I wish I had given more people CDs.
I wish I had burned more CDs.
Maybe people would remember me.
Are they thinking about me right now? No, I agree. I totally 100% agree. Yeah, it is something special when you think about like those times you receive something from a friend or your significant other or something, and you think, oh yeah, it's also kind of cool to think back. Like for me, like these guys weren't mainstream. They didn't get mainstream until very later on. I would say probably like 2010s is like when they really started to like get more. They got like radio play and they got, you know what I mean? Like before then it was all very. It wasn't as much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like this album was kind of like that big step that they took towards getting more like mainstream attention.
Yeah.
But it still had a lot of their early, I guess, style to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Previous to this album, it was very raw. It was very much feely, like a bluegrass feel sometimes, you know? And then this album kind of like they just took that next step. And this song in particular, like I said, like I remember learning how to play the guitar solo on this song and just being so excited for myself to learn it because it was so hard,
Yeah.
Or it wasn't even that hard, it just sounded intricate, you know what I mean? It was one of the first time I ever tried to, looked it up on the tabs online and going through that. But yeah, dude, like this song is a good song. I know you haven't really listened to it that much, but check it out, dude. Check out some of the David Brothers stuff.
That's the thing is like for me, I know that like when like names and things like that don't exactly always match up, and so when you hear it, you're gonna hear it and you're probably gonna be like, oh, I've heard this like 4 or 5 times before. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. And I mean, I really do urge. David Brothers are great. Check out this album, Mignonette. And really a lot of their early stuff. There's some really good stuff in there too. And then they have these EPs called The Gleam.
Yeah.
It's like Gleam 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think now. It's really good. But yeah, I urge y'all, check it out. It's a good song, good band, and tell us what you think.
Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah.
And be sure to check it out on our Spotify playlist. We're just pushing that because, you guys get to listen to us talk about it, but then you guys get to create your own memories of being able to listen to this.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, we don't have a way for us to be able to play this music on here. We don't have the funds to pay for, copyright permissions.
So give us money.
Hey, if you want to sponsor us so we could do that, that'd be great. But if not, that's fine too.
That's cool.
But the purpose of the Spotify playlist is for y'all to be able to go back, listen to the music, and kind of feel those vibes, and maybe feel like what we felt when we heard it first time, or talking about it.
Yeah, catch the vibe yourself.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else, Mel?
No. I think we're ready to see you guys next time.
Yeah, we will catch you all on episode 4.
Catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, and remember,
get you on the flip flop.
Yes.
Oh, do you remember that song?
Yeah, do you remember that? I was like, wait, I didn't quite set that up. You know what? We're gonna stop it here.
It's good.
Have a good week.